Hey y'all, we need to talk about chatbots and ChatGPT. So, I want to be very clear. I am rooting for everyone to do really, really well in this class. I want all of you to have a great experience. I want everyone to pass the class. I want y'all to get great grades. In order for that to happen, we need to actually understand what ChatGPT is and why you are not allowed to use it for this class. I think that just saying don't use it is not very helpful. And so I want you to actually understand what this tool is and where its information is coming from. Okay, so chatbots and especially ChatGPT have recently become just very prevalent in the world around us. There are a couple others besides just ChatGPT. There's also Bard and Bing. There are a bunch of them. ChatGPT is connected to Snapchat, so you might be using it there, whether or not you're aware that that's what it's called. It's also a standalone app. And I want to be clear, AI is cool, right? So these chatbots are useful for a bunch of things. I actually kind of have fun playing with them. They're useful if you are trying to figure out how to word that stressful email you've been sort of avoiding writing. They are helpful for, I don't know, making a playlist for you. Or if you ask it, like, what should I make for dinner tonight? Here are the ingredients I have, and here's the kind of food that I like. It can give you some ideas. AI is useful for a bunch of things. But the problem is that it's suddenly everywhere, and we haven't yet had a lot of conversations about what it's not useful for. And I think a lot of people don't know how these tools actually work. So you're going to learn how they actually work. This is going to be a massive oversimplification, but bear with me. So ChatGPT and other chatbots are essentially really, really complex, really, really advanced, and honestly, like incredibly impressive auto-predict. So when you are like using your phone and you start to type a word that begins with P, and your phone is really, really used to the fact that you will often write the word popcorn? I have no idea. It'll give you that as a suggestion for you, right? So it's based on what you've written in the past. That's how it's figuring out what suggestions to offer to you now. Well, the way that chatbots work is they have this huge data set, and they look at what words and concepts people have used together in the past in this huge data set and all these examples. And based on that, that's how it's building its response that it gives to you. So it's not saying, here's what the experts have agreed. It's just looking at what was said basically the most frequently. Where is its data coming from? It's coming from the internet. So let's think about this for a second. Do you believe everything you read online? Should you believe everything you read online? Like, of course not, because you are actually good at life. You know that you shouldn't do that. However, that's what ChatGPT is doing. Its training data was just scraped from all of the internet. It was actually just recently connected back up to the internet. So now it's getting all the stuff that's online, all the comments, all the posts, all the random articles and weird websites that who knows who made them. That's where its information is coming from. Everything that's publicly available is in its training data. Think about that. Think about what that actually means. So again, I'm not just going to tell you that chatbots are always wrong, because they're not. They will give you a pretty okay answer about maybe 70-80% of the time. If you use them for a course assignment, they'll give you something that sounds like pretty reasonable, at least a bunch of the time. It'll be really surface level. It won't actually do a good job at that course assignment, but it'll be okay. The problem is that 30% when it's not even close to okay. Sometimes what's happening is that it is drawing on all of that weird shit that people have posted online, and that's where it's getting its answer. Sometimes it's drawing on completely random sources that actually have nothing to do with what you're asking it about, because again, it's not differentiating which things are connected to your specific topic or course or whatever it is. So sometimes the answers are just real weird and wacky and again, based on the weird stuff that people have put up online. Sometimes the answers will contain what are called AI hallucinations, where it's just fully made up. Usually it won't be the whole response that it gives you. It'll just be a bunch of like specific details will be, again, fully made up. Just a hallucination. No one really knows where they're coming from in the program, but they'll be there. Again, not in every single response, but some of the time. And that's what makes these things so dangerous, or at least so hazardous, because it's really, really hard to tell which responses have good information in them, which have real bad information, but a lot of people have said it, and which are just fully hallucinated. They all have that same kind of reasonable tone, or like they sound kind of authoritative, they sound kind of legit. Again, regardless of where its information is coming from, if it's even coming from somewhere. So that's one of the big problems with using ChatGPT and other chatbots. Again, I get why people are using them, but you can't use them for this class. It's just not going to work. The answers it gives you are just going to be, I don't know, at best, unreliable. And again, the problem is that it's hard to tell which answers are okay and which answers are real wrong, especially if you don't know the topic you're asking about. If you haven't been doing the readings, if you are not like really in the weeds with the details, you're not going to be able to pick out which details are fully hallucinated and which are like, yeah, okay, that's like, in like a pretty general, but like, okay, summary of this topic. You're not going to be able to figure it out if you haven't been doing the work along the way. Again, I get why people are using them. I think people use them for like big assignments when they're stressed out and panicking. I also get that people are using them for like a bunch of like little assignments in the course that sort of feel like busy work. Again, I understand why students are doing that. But I just want to be really clear. It's not going to serve you well. The information you get is going to be, again, might be okay, might be real wrong. The other problem is that if you're using the chatbots to give you summaries of the readings or to write the assignments for you, you're not going to have learned anything from this class. You're paying money for this class. You are here to take the class, and you won't get anything out of it if you have a chatbot doing the work for you. Even if you think that like, oh, I'm having it give me summaries, like I'm learning from the summaries. Well, you're not learning the actual things that we're studying. But even more than that, you're not learning the actual skill of how to put these ideas into words for yourself. And that's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem both for the class, and it's going to be a problem like for you in your own life. This class is about sex and sexuality, and it's often one of those things that people talk about in the rest of their lives. The whole point of the class is that it has some stuff that's like useful for you. If you're using a chatbot to do, say, these little assignments, and there are a bunch of little assignments along the way. Again, I get it. It feels like busy work sometimes to students, but I want to be really clear. I give you those little assignments for your benefit, not for me. Like I am so fine with having less stuff to keep track of, or like fewer assignments to grade. Like that would be fine with me. But when I tried doing that in the past, it was really hard for the students because they didn't have these sort of constant check-ins or like, again, like accountability. It did not work well for them. When I've asked for other classes, when I've asked them like what actually helped them learn the content, it was often these things like writing a quick little response to the reading after each topic, doing these reading quizzes that they could see if they were getting the main ideas or not. If you use a chatbot for those things, again, one, I can usually tell. But two, you are missing out on building the skills that you need in order to understand these ideas and in order to figure out how to talk about these ideas. And that'll mean that you'll be in it's going to be really hard when it comes time to do like the larger scale assignments, because you haven't had any of the practice about how to talk about these ideas, how to work with these ideas. The little assignments that sometimes feel like busy work, they're much more like skill building, right? It's something like practice. If you're on a sports team or if you're in a band, you have to do a bunch of practice It's not the same thing as playing the game. It's not the same thing as doing the live like music performance. But you have to practice in order to do those things. And that's what these little assignments are. Are there a space for you to be able to practice putting these ideas into words? They're a place for you to be able to practice thinking through and working with the ideas that you're getting from the readings. And I don't want you to be in a position where you aren't able to do that because you haven't been practicing along the way. But also just more broadly, I want you to know a little bit about what chatbots are and how we should and should not be using them in the world around us. I don't want to just give you a rule saying don't use them. I want you to actually understand. Again, why the information can be, at best, unreliable, and also what you're missing out on if you use chatbots to do all of these sorts of tasks for you. They're really, really good at some tasks. Again, writing that email you're stressed out about, chatbots are actually pretty good at generating a first draft that you can draw on. But for doing your coursework, they are not great for that. And so again, I want you to actually understand this stuff. Cool. We're going to have a great semester, and I am so excited to get to know each and every one of you.